am Weston here with ECI Research, where we cover all things application development and modernization. But we all know we can't have a conversation about modernization anymore without also talking about AI. So in just a couple weeks, I'll be attending Rise 8's SHIP Summit, where we get to go hands-on in building software in the AI era. But before I actually get to go to the event, today I get the chance to sit down with Paul Rayner to talk through some of the key shifts shaping how we're creating software right now. Paul, it's great to have you joining me today. And I know that we're about 2 weeks out from SHIP Summit, and I've been told you're going to be one of the speakers and coaches through the event. Could you introduce yourself for those out there watching?
All right, yes. So my name is Paul Rayner, and my background is in development. I've been doing that for 3.5 decades now. It's hard to believe. And most of what I do these days is consulting around software design, and particularly over the last 8 months or so around the intersection of software design and AI, and have been very busy in that time, spending as much time as I could getting familiar with the tooling and building things. So I'm really looking forward to SHIP Summit, and not only speaking, but just engaging with other people that are interested in similar areas and maybe facing some of the same challenges and struggles that I've come up against.
Well, it's a huge area right now. AI and software development, can we get more 2026 at this point? So it's great to have you on. I know that you said that you spent a lot of your time in your career assisting teams on modeling systems and helping to build them. Now that we have the AI-assisted development, is modeling more or less crucial than before?
Yeah, I think that what I've seen with AI is it tends to amplify strengths and dysfunctions. And one of those is if your understanding of the problem that you're trying to solve with software is fuzzy, then AI is just going to generate the wrong thing faster, right? And so the way I think about modeling is, when you're modeling, that's when you're trying to build shared understanding across the team, and that never changes. So what changes, I think, in this AI era is the cost of getting from we understand the problem to running code just collapsed to a large extent. And the bottleneck now is shifting further upstream in a lot of ways to understanding. And so when I run workshops with teams and we practice techniques like event storming and that, it's really about sense making, making sure that the team is oriented around the problem and has a good shared understanding of that, so that as they build and learn, that model is actually reflected in the code.
It makes a lot of sense and leads into even more questions on this, right? If the solution isn't right, or if the problem isn't right, the solution just happens worse, faster. So we need that human in the loop. Is that what you're saying? And that help in defining what the solution is that we're really going towards?
Exactly. And a lot of people have, I've heard that phrase human in the loop a lot recently. And I actually titled my SHIP Summit talk Design in the Loop, because really what we're working with when we're working with a tool like Claude Code or any kind of agentic tool is it's really just a loop. It's something that's just running over and over again. And so that human judgment needs to be there so that you're actually iterating your way towards the correct thing, right? Towards solving the actual problem. The subtitle of my talk was Sense It, Shape It, Check It, Hone It. And I really think that that's what we're talking about here. Is when we're doing modeling, that's the sense making part of it. That's orientating ourselves towards what's the problem that we're working on. And then Shape It is about how are we molding the software using these agentic tools, and then Check It, because inevitably the tooling gets it wrong. And so we have to validate that. And my understanding is wrong and grows and develops over time as well. And then Hone It is really about improving the loop, going through the loop faster, building more tooling around the loop, and really being able to move faster through the loop in a lot of ways. So, if you can't specify, if you can't work through an actual concrete example of what you're trying to build, a little bit of fog in your mind is going to be an impenetrable fog for the AI in terms of what to implement from a coding perspective.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like you're saying the design, the modeling, and the clarity are really the keys to unlocking the potential of accelerating AI-assisted development.
Yeah, and those are key elements, right? Because that's the human factor that's brought in. That's what the AI can't contribute, is being able to take disparate viewpoints from different perspectives within the organization or from customers, and being able to figure out a solution and provide value. I mean, you can certainly use the agentic loop for that to help advise you, but at the end of the day, that human judgment and that design sensibility and that experience that you bring to the table is really a critical piece.
And I think that's really what we're going to be seeing at Ship Summit coming up in 2 weeks. We're almost there. I know that one of the goals is to make software creation more accessible at Ship Summit. So even those who have never written code before have the chance to actually help create this final product. So when we're looking at collaborative modeling, how do these same approaches allow non-developers into this workflow?
Right. So if we're talking about a technique like event storming, for example, it's a superpower in that technique because it's really just sticky notes on a wall or on a board. There's no code, there's no UML. It's business people, developers, designers, all participating as equal and getting those ideas out of their minds and into something visible. And that's really what is at the heart of collaborative modeling. So the idea is being able to take that and things like mock-ups and, all kinds of things that are actually very accessible for people that aren't working in the code, and being able to make that goal of making software creation approachable, right? Because the hardest part of this is, I think, is understanding the problem, and that's the most valuable part. So anyone can contribute to that regardless of their coding ability. And so in the AI era, the person who best understands the customer's workflow, for example, might be the most important, the most valuable person on the team, even if they never touch the code.
That's a really interesting perspective, and it leads into a lot of what we're seeing in our research this year. We saw that 2025 was really the year of experimentation, and 2026 is turning into the year of AI ROI. So from software design, letting organizations turn those AI-driven applications into production systems that can actually deliver value might be reliant on somebody that you didn't think was actually involved in the development process. And now we're seeing the ROI faster because we have the right people involved. Is that a fair statement that you're seeing?
I think the more that we get the right people involved, the right people on the bus, the more we can have that acceleration. There's a bunch of tooling that needs to happen. Like just sprinkling AI pixie dust over a process is really not going to make a lot of difference. I think in a lot of cases, it's involving, I mean, it has for me in terms of my open source work, it's involved rethinking the entire development pipeline, right? Because the coding part, which used to be the really hard part for me, collapsed. It hasn't gone away, but it's different now because it's a much tighter loop. And so now I'm thinking about, well, how do I take things that are normally downstream from me, like validation and other activities that would be further downstream in the pipeline, and actually do those earlier. And so I think high-performing teams that have strong practices and spend, especially initially, a lot of time on their actual development process as well as their production work are going to see that acceleration, right? Because, if you just get in a Formula One car and then drive it through downtown Denver, where I live, you're not actually going to realize the potential of the car because you'll spend all your time in traffic. But if you can actually clear the way and work on, to use that metaphor in software, if you can clear the way in terms of your deployment pipeline, for example, then you're able to have a more high-performing team and be able to accelerate the development. Otherwise, struggling teams are just going to see their struggles get amplified.
That makes sense. And I think that it's going to be a real struggle that we are seeing this year because we are going to see things be amplified and accelerated that shouldn't necessarily be. And so my final question for you today, Paul, is if AI is accelerating how quickly we're writing the software, what are the new skills that are going to provide the biggest advantage for all of these teams?
What are the new skills? So I'm biased, but I really think design judgment and being able to have that shared understanding of what the problem is. I mean, it's really two sides, right? Are we building the right product, right? Do we have the shortest path to customer value, which is really hard to figure out. So are we building the right product? And then the other side of that is, are we building the product right, which is all the technical side, architectural side of things that need to happen behind the scenes. And so I see AI helping in both of those areas, is helping us more rapidly iterate in terms of determining the customer's needs on the front end, which is really discovery and sense making and shaping the solution. And then being able to shape that on the back end in terms of building the thing right and checking that and validating that, and then being able to improve that whole thing. So, I mean, there's a lot to this, but I think that the organizations that are going to invest in their people's design skills will ship faster and more reliably than teams that just hand everyone Copilot and say good luck.
It's a big statement, but I think you're onto something there.
I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
I think we'll see, let's have the same conversation again next year, and we'll see who's holding the keys to the kingdom come 2027.
Exactly.
I know that we're short on time today, so I want to make sure that the audience can still find you and reach out if they have any more questions or want to continue the conversation. So what are your final words that you want to leave them with? Where can they find you? What have you been working on?
All right, absolutely. So people can find me at my company website at virtualgenius.com, and a couple of things that I've been working on over the last 6 months or so. A couple of open source projects, one called Code Cohesion that is analyzing coupling in code repositories that has been 100% developed using Claude Code. And then the other one is Context Flow. Once again, that one is approaching things from a domain-driven design perspective and helping teams be able to map their software landscape and make good decisions about what to do with legacy systems and that type of thing. So I've learned a lot doing these tools and have really been able to apply a lot of these techniques. So if anyone's interested in learning more about what you can accomplish with some of the agentic tooling, welcome to take a look at those projects, because they're out there and available for everyone to see, including the change logs and a lot of the decisions around how they were built. So hopefully that might be interesting for some people.
Definitely interesting stuff, Paul. For those of you out there watching, we've put all of the links Paul mentioned in the description, and I really encourage you to check those out. But Paul, thank you again so much for joining me today. Really great insights, and I'm really looking forward to your talk at SHIP Summit. That's all we have for today, but stay tuned in the coming weeks for more conversations and coverage of Rise 8's SHIP Summit 2026. And as we always say here at ECI Research, stay curious and stay building.